Welcome to another episode of I Am Shogo's vlog. So, if you've joined me in my first two episodes, you were in for a treat. You heard about sex in the pews and you heard about sex in the pulpit. But today I want to talk to you about sex and the pupil. So, pupil is a word that stands for student. And so I wanted to touch today's conversation on a couple of angles. The first one is sex and our children. And so our children are students, if we believe it or not, in regards to our home. Um, we teach them things, and they learn from us, both things that we teach them and things that we neglect to teach them. And so, even in the conversation of sex and the pupil, I would want to ask you, who taught your child about sex? Who taught you about sex? Most children, most people learn about sex because they see it on television. Their friends start to talk about it and they get peer pressured into having sex. They see it on television, and it's so prevalent now um, that even in kiddie shows or movies, there's sometimes some elusiveness to the act of sex. But yet, it's taboo to talk about it. It is almost a cringing word in our homes when kids bring up the conversation, or worse, if parents bring up the conversation with their kids, it's, oh my God, I can't believe we're talking about this. But it creates more of a problem when we don't address it and when we don't talk about it. We have to get to this place where the church, the believers, are having these conversations because they're real. Why wouldn't we want to be the ones to educate our children? It should not be the school system. It should not be them sending home a piece of paper asking, can they talk to your child, or can your child attend a sex education course? By the time they have these conversations, which is middle school or high school, it is far too late. And so I would beg that sex should be discussed at the elementary level, at the sixth grade level, of course, according to their understanding. Understanding. Um, we must get kids to understand the vitality of why you should not have sex, or what is the purpose of having sexual intercourse, which one of the reasons is procreation. One of the main reasons of having sexual intercourse is to procreate, is to fulfill the whole promise of fulfilling and of subduing the earth, of multiplication, multiplying our seeds in the earth. And so, if our children don't understand, hey, you don't have sex just to have sex, you're having sex to procreate. And that is why it's so important for you to be married in order to have sex, not just because, oh, I'm telling you it's wrong. Um, they have to understand more than just don't do it. I talked about how I was just told, oh, don't have sex because I told you so. Oh, don't have sex because it's wrong. It's a sin. But there was no communication about the totality of it, of everything that it entails. And so a lot of times we miss the intimacy of sex because we're not explained and we're not told, and we're not educated on the true purpose. So then we get into these places of being teenagers, being a college student, being an adult, and we still don't understand sex properly, or we're still not even experiencing sex at the level that we should. Many women don't have true orgasms many men really never got educated on how to properly um, have sex. And so we're so afraid to have the conversation. You have adults, men and women, engaged in these relationships and on being unhappy. So many relationships, so many marriages go through um, just adultery. They go through divorces, and some of them are really basis on they weren't happy with that part of their marriage. But instead of us being able to talk about it, instead of us being able to teach about it, instead of us being able to train and transform and transition, we are closed mouth. And that's an issue. We have to get to the place where we become pupils, even in this taboo subject matter. And lastly, the aspect of learning. We have to be able to learn. We have to understand the aspect of love. Love is an integral part of us and believers. And as we're coming and we're uniting with another person, it's not just for the benefit of doing the do. It's not just for the benefits of increasing the body counts. Oh, how many dudes can I get? How many females can I lay with? It's not about that. But it's a bigger picture to why we are supposed to have sex. And so, one, let's educate our children. Let's talk to our kids about sex. Do not allow the system to teach your child what we as believers want our kids to know when it comes to sexual intercourse. And lastly, let's educate our partners, educate married couples. If you are a counselor, if you are a pastor, if you are a minister, these are things that you should do to aid the body. Don't be afraid to have those conversations with the couples. Don't be afraid. I know a pastor and two pastors actually, and when they counsel married couples about real issues. They even when they talk to our collegiate students, they talk about things that can affect females and their bodies and decisions. They talk to them about weed and how that can affect their performance. And if they're not educated, they can make a decision that can affect them for the rest of their lives. And so I implore you today, take the time out. Take the time to talk about sex from the pulpit. Take the time out to talk about sex in the pews, in with the people sense, and let's take the time out to find pupils, our children, partners, peoples, adults, and let's start talking about sex. Um, this has been the last episode of the whole sex conversation, and we will see you soon with a whole new topic. I am Shogo, signing out.